Okay, hi brothers and sisters, we're back to do another short video, but before I do, I had a video where I had some blingy stuff set up that I do as a hobby and give for gifts. And I thought, maybe some were interested in that, so I'm going to show it to you and then I'm going to pause the video before we move into our new short study. It won't be too long, I don't think. But these are some of the items that I like to bling. I believe this was one of them that I had sitting back there. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I just really like to bling stuff up and give it. This was one of the first that I ever did. This is a book, first one that I did. I really needed a hobby. I felt in the evenings when I didn't feel like studying, and you don't always feel like doing housework and cutting your grass and all that stuff. And and I needed a way to relieve stress, and this is one that really worked for me. So this is a gift I've made for my daddy. He likes shiny things too. Men like gemstones too. So I made this for his birthday to give to him. When it rolls around, I don't know if you can see it very well. Let's get it closer there so you can see it. We'll get out of shot. And I'll take the cover off and just show you. Nice for fudge. My dad's a fudge lover, and cookies and sweets or jewelry, whatever you want to put in it. This is one I've just started. Yeah, just to use up all the loose stuff that I have that I really can't use in like a grid pattern, I'd call them, because I tend to like grid patterns when I do them. So this is a bit of an odd one. It's a bit bigger, so it holds a little bit more. And then I tend to do a lot of pin cups. This is a little different than the ones that I do. This is again the first one I ever did for myself. Nothing special, but they come usually in different shapes, and they're a nice little inexpensive gift to give to somebody. And this is the first one I ever did, and I kind of screwed it up. But I believe this was one that was sitting back there, right? And this is what I would call a grid pattern. I like to do the grids. I tend not to like random. And I kind of screwed up on the bottom, so it was just a cheap, it was a stainless steel secondhand cup that had a tacky, phrase on it. And I said, well, what can I do with that? And I said, well, I'm going to try blinging it. And so I did. And but I did screw it up, so I kept it for me. But I have other projects on the go, because I think everybody wants a piece for their birthday or special occasion, whatever that may be. And it's relatively inexpensive depending on how you want to tackle it. So anyway, that I just wanted to share those with you for anybody who might have been interested. And I said, well, I put some bling back here for you to look at, but you can't really see it at that distance, so I thought maybe you'd want to see them. So I shared that with you. So let's just pause this and we'll get into our study. Okay, so we're back for our I hope it's going to be a short study, I never know. But we're going to read in Revelations is where we're actually going to go. And we're going to look at when they kick the harlot off, I think. Okay, so we'll start in Revelation 16, verse 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, go your way and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. Verse 2 is what we're going to really look at closely. And the first went and poured out, I'm going to say, her vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the people which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped, yes, his image. Now you understand, we have two images on earth. For anybody with eyes to see and ears to hear. We have a what? We have a male image, don't we? Called man. Don't we? Sure we do. And number 2, we have a female image, don't we? Called woman. Right? So this image we find standing in Daniel 2, and it's no mistake that it's a male image. It's trying to cause you to think and focus on why the spirit in the land is called a harlot spirit. And we've discussed this multiple times. That pen is not writing. Not that I need it to. But that image is definitely male. We find it standing in Daniel 2. Now, I'm going to stop there, and we're going to go in on verse 2. We're going to look at some of the words and see if we can understand a few things, possibly, that is in the Old Testament, if anybody wants to study and go in deep looking at the words, pulling them up, and really understanding how, when you allow wisdom to weave it together, that really does make sense. This that they teach us off the pulpit, that's a bunch of bull crap, and that's why they call it bull's crap, right? It comes from the bulls. Revelation 16:2, we're going to look at, well, let's look at the word sore. A grievous sore falls upon them. I wish I wrote the verse down. Let me go to the Bible here. Pull it right out and keep it right with us so I can reference it. So that's 16, verse 2. So, and the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell noisome and grievous sore upon them. So we're looking at the word grievous, and it's 1668, helkos, a festering sore, a wound, an ulcer. The word is neuter. We go down here. Come on, move along there. Okay, a wound, a suppurated wound, a sore, an ulcer, probably from Helkua, an ulcer as if drawn together. We know what a wound is, don't we? Sore. I think this is the word we're going to look at next. And what's it derived from? This word. 1670. Yeah, this is the word. Okay, yeah, right. 1670 is the word it's derived from. And this word is a verb. It means I drag, I draw, I pull, I persuade, I what? An unsheath. Well, what does that got to do with the wound that won't heal? Right? What does unsheath have to do with a wound, an ulcer, something that has the idea of drawn together, but yet it won't heal, is your idea. A suppurating sore. Suppurating. Let's look that word up. I have a friend here on my desk. I hate to kill bugs. I do. He's cute. He's harmless. Suppurating sore. Let's look up suppurating. It's a harmless little bug, so I'm not going to kill him. I'll put him outside after I get done if he's still hanging around. So let's define suppurate it, so we get a better understanding here. Not separate it. No. It must have corrected me. Okay. Suppurate. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Undergo the formation of pus. Yay. Festering. So it's in fact it's not really healing, is kind of your understanding. So gross. But we know what's meant here, right? By the suppurating sore, right? Which is sore in Revelation 16:2. And it's derived from this word unsheath. What does unsheath mean? Let's look this one up. Okay, that's not it. Define right there. Unsheath. Draw or pull out a knife, a sword, or similar weapon from its sheath or covering. Do you suppose this wound that won't heal has been made by a sword? What's allegorical for the word sword? Word. Your word. What do we find in Jeremiah? I believe it's Jeremiah 9. The balm of Gilead. Why has the hurt of the daughter of my people not been healed? Well, apparently because your word, something to do with your word, is quite stabbing. And it takes us right back to what the prophets were prophesying in Jeremiah 23, a religious lying off. And it was designed to take the women out of play, right? Put a bond on their neck. Now, on we go. All right? This was the word sore in Revelation 6:2. A suppurated wound. A sore, an ulcer, as if drawn together. So is there no balm in Gilead, it says, for the healing of the hurt of the daughter of my people? Well, a religious lie is akin to your sword and your word, which has stabbed them, pierced them, and we get the pierced of the daughter of my people. Oh, I can't remember the verse now. You have pierced the daughter of my people, it says, and it does mean to stab. And they did that through words and a lying theology and religious lie that teaches man is he, God is he, or a he. It's always a he. Half the population is female. But it's he. And what I'm saying don't make an ounce of sense, huh? Doesn't? So what's grievous then? Let's look up grievous. See what we get here. It's 4190. Evil, bad, wicked, malicious, slothful, even lazy. Almost like you have a servant to run around the house and do everything for you. An adjective which is also used substantively, derived from 4192. Pain, laborious, trouble. Properly pain-ridden, emphasizing the inevitable agonies and miseries that go with the evil. With the worthless, we get worthless here. Wicked man, wicked things. Worthless, that takes us back to Belial, the sons of Belial. The worthless sons of Belial, who it says, who shot at these daughters. We get that, of course, for anybody who's been on channel. Of course, I'll reference you straight back to Genesis 49, 23, 24. And when you look the words up, the one who shot at these daughters of branches that run over the wall, and it is women who was going actually through the gate. They were known as the Key of David. The Baal, the archers there, Baal, your husband, was shooting at you with these wicked words and really stabbing and piercing. To remove the spirit of this covenant out of the land, you also get the idea that she goes silent in a period of mourning. Before she will take up arms for herself. Her own sword will rise in the land. It will be unsheathed, and the truth will be known. There'll be no stabbing for you if you, are willing to perceive this truth for yourself. If you want to go along with the lie and the idol in the land that's clearly identified in Daniel 2, and it is male for a purpose. It is identifying the Antichrist spirit in the land, which is male, that went against the Holy One that was gave to the first Adam, and in his great pride and lack of humility, he rejected her and he accused her under the law. And that is what Satan does and did and is still doing yet today. And so he points at her and he accuses her under the law. And those words for Satan, Baal, Belial, Beelzebub, devil, devils, Satan, and there's a variety of those words in both the New and the Old, will lead you straight back to Adam, who accused, right? Because Baal means your husband. It's also an idolatrous idol of a man standing who you are never to bow down and worship, ever. No more than you were to bow down to her. It was never said to bow down to her either. You were to bow down to the laws that came upon her tongue. And Adam, in his pride and arrogance, we see this man in Isaiah 14 identified as nothing more than a man who wanted to sit on the throne of God, is what he did. And he knew to take the law system and rewrite it as his very own, and to tear down anything female or feminine, to pierce upon it, was going to put him in the throne of power. He knew that. And it's all identified as an admixture of wine. Yeah, it's a spiced wine. She spices it, this harlot does, to entice him to her, is the idea. And the enticement is that she will do what he wants and she will bow down to him. That's the enticement. That's the spice in the wine. Admixture, you'll get admixture. Admixture sometimes will also have the idea of wine mixed with water. And with that, you will get the Red Sea, right? So this Red Sea that come over and flooded the true Lord's pathway, she has the sword that is sharper than this two-edged sword, which is held in the hand of the harlot. Now that's identified as being held in the harlot's hand in, where was it? Was it Proverbs 5? 4? 5? And it's bitter as wormwood. Yeah. Wormwood is identified as the poison. It's a poisonous doctrine, which led man to write his own law system and go against God, or the Holy One, with her law on her tongue, and he refused it in pride and arrogance, and continues to this very day to accuse her under the law. And only when she stands up and stands up for her own case, that's right, and presents it, then does the Ancient of Days come in and hear it. And it says that her kingdom is restored back to her. The dominion of the kingdom is restored back to her sword, her word. And it says this, that the dragon is cast down. Well, what it means by that, when we read it, it was Satan who held the seat of power. And it's rightfully her throne. And it says no place is found for his sword anymore. No place is found for his word anymore. It gets cast down into the earth. And there, from then on, there's a particular judgment that we see that gets played out. So, Grievous, it's about calamity, diseased, especially morally culpable. You're derelict in your duties. The women have become derelict in those duties to maintain, not to let this idol dictate everything. And this idol of a man is dictating everything in the land. God is typically male. It's all over the place, We have two tabernacles here on earth. We have a male, we have a female. We do not have one. We do not have three males walking around, a father and a son, and I don't know, Grampy, I don't know what that third one is. You do not see three males walking around, and you are without excuse not to understand the Godhead. I manifested it in what I created for your eyes to bear witness to. So we'll cut it off there, because then those wicked men come in and they fill it in, instead of you stopping it right there and taking a look around. What does your eyes bear witness to? What does your eyes bear witness to? Right off the bat, what does it bear witness to? Well, I would have to say male and female. And the next thing I would have to say is the female is your life giver, in the sense that she is one that shapes the clay in her womb and then travails to bring forth life in the earth. Yes, we know that's not true. Of course not. Of course it's true. Of course it's true. And they're trying to twist everything upside down like they have done for thousands of years, which we find, again, in Isaiah 29. You told the potter that she had no power over the clay. That's just what they've done. And then say, no, this don't make sense. No, it's Father and his children. Father gave life to everything. Really, that reasons out, does it? Well, I'm going to tell you in my great amount of wisdom that no, it does not reason. It doesn't make an ounce of sense. 50% on this planet are women. Right. Still not clicking with you, is it? God says equity, right? Peace, truth, fairness in all things. That is my way. Do you have it, you think? Well, no, because 50% of us means nothing to God. That's what they'd have you believe. Well, only if you're bowing at the idol of a man that washes you in blood. Well, there you go again. You don't wash in blood, do you? That's your admixture of wine on the table that we're talking about as the harlot holding this double-edged sword. We also see the women from the surrounding Adamic nations coming in and biting them and poisoning them with this religious lie. And who sent the women in? Balaam. Balaam. And Balak, who was terrified of this great nation that was ruled by women. Because they were just so powerful. You know, their word was causing the nation of Israel to grow in great power, and it terrified them. But we broke all that down, so I'm not going to do it here. So we have this grievous sore upon people having the mark. What's the mark? Let's identify this mark. Let's look at it. Let's see if it's that hard to identify the mark. So it's Strong's Greek 5480. Alright? What does it mean? A stamp, impress, sculpture, engraving. Let's remember these words. Engraving. A stamp. A sign. See, we don't really even got to follow the words through to really understand what is meant. Because, where is it? Hebrews? It's in Hebrews somewhere. It says, He is the only, what is it? Express image of God. So what is it telling you? He's made in the image of His Father. That's what it tells you. Alright. So if we've got an engraving and we've got a mark, what is it telling you? That you are at least mimicking an image to some degree. Right? You are. Sculpture. You see, image. Engraving, a stamp, a sign, an impress. Well, let's go on in our thinking, in our, lack of wisdom here. A coin, impress on a coin. A seal used by an engraver on a die, a stamp, a branding iron. It becomes the identification marker. Like with an owner's unique brand mark. Well, we get what we're doing here, don't we? We're looking at a particular doctrine that you're going to be identified with, aren't you? A stamp, an imprint, a mark, things carved, sculpture, graven work, even. An idolatrous image. Well, you were to have no image before you, neither male nor female. You want to know why it's a harlot spirit? And they consider this harlot spirit female now? In the beginning, harlotry was neither male nor female. It was both. It was male and female. Right? It wasn't exclusively a word that belonged to the female. It belonged to male and female. That's what it says. And then that word idol or idolatry would link you to idolatry, which is where this is going. So adultery, and why we have the harlot spirit in view, is woman is bound to a male idol. It's plain and simple. You can see that. And God says, I didn't tell you about a no image. You saw no image of me. I told you to make no image of me, is what I told you. And that's how you come away with fairness and truth and equality. But He did not want the word off of her tongue. He wanted it Himself off of His own tongue. That He was going to do whatever He wanted to do, even though He took an oath to this particular covenant. And then He turned His back on it. And He did. And He used harsh treatment of the woman to bring about what He wanted to bring on this earth. So stamp, mark, from the same as shirax, scratch. There we go with a scratch. Let's remember that word. A scratch. Or etching. What's an etching? We'll get to it. As a badge of servitude. Something you serve. Or sculptured figure, statue, graven mark. We were to have no graven image before us, neither male nor female. Now that's what the Old Testament tells you that they want to disregard. Let's go into the beast here. No, she did that all wrong. Sorry. we want it to hit on some of the words here is what we want it to do. Okay, so we were going to hit on characts from the same as, a scratch or etching. Characts. 5482. Palisade, mound for besieging. A mound for besieging. When I think of besiege, I think of Ariel, the lioness of God, being under siege. Her high tower, her defense tower, her stronghold was under attack. What did we learn that meant in allegorical terminology? Well, we realized that meant your argument. She says, bring forth your case, dear daughter. Bring forth your argument, and I will hear it. But she remained silent throughout time until she could present her argument and her case, and be strong enough to stand up and to present it. So this is from trench from charasso to sharpen to a point. To a point. Now remember, this is taking us back to the mark. To a point. What's a point? Well, I think of this right here. That's what I think of. A point. To sharpen to a point akin to grapho. That's the next word we're going to hit on. Through the idea of scratching. Again, there we go with scratch. A scratch or etching. A stake by implication. A palisade or a rampart. Military mound for circumvallation in a siege. A trench. Okay? Let's hit on grapho. What's grapho? What's going to lead us? What's this going to take us to? I write. It is written. It stands written in scriptures. Your mark. Your mark. What you believe. To grave, scrape, scratch. What's the word? Engrave. You are engraved with what? And where are you engraved with it? Where? Here. In the forehead. That's your mark. What you believe. Your doctrine. And you're usually holding it in your hand is what you're usually doing. So we'll look at the mark in this very primitive form. Okay? What you have here. Those of the preserved and strong ones of God are marked here with a different seal. It is the true seal of God. It is not the worship of an idol, not the worship of Jesus, not the worship of a man. It is the worship of truth. That's what it is. Which we've discussed multiple times in multiple videos. To express in written characters, to commit to writing. This mark, it's committed to writing. And yet, she says, for her preserved and strong ones who figures out the truth, there is a little book in here sealed up, and it will be uttered by my 7 daughters. I believe these are the same daughters that in the end, when it's all said and done, will be the same 7 archangels holding the bowl or the vials of judgment, which will fall upon the beast system and with the harlot that rides the beast system, the one that he actually exalts, so he is the one that rules it. All right? It's all there. To write to one by writing in a written epistle to give information, direction. Oh, really? That's your mark. You see, there's your mark. And the mark of the beast system. Let's look up beast. Let's go back here. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you feel like children. Sometimes I feel like a child who's learning something new for the first time. And I think we need to be that way. That's what's going to transform you, this willingness to learn and to look at things in a very different manner than what this beast system has taught you through violence, forced down your throat, to believe an untruth, a simple untruth that don't make no sense and don't reason out. That's why wisdom says when I call, what, you can't be bothered to listen to me? Wisdom is the only thing that makes sense in this world. A wild beast, 2342, properly a wild beast, hence any wild animal, metaphorically a brute. The generic term for a wild animal, beast, figuratively a brutal, bestial nature. Really? You mean like this current man-made system that we're living in? That tells woman she has no rights and put a yoke on her neck. Oh, it's off for a little while. It come off, but, I mean, there's so much in that. I mean, there really is. I can't even discuss everything that's involved in that. I mean, if you want to open your eyes and see what's involved in it all, you may see it. Venomous. Oh, venomous? What's that? Poisonous beast. Poisonous beast. That's what that is. A dangerous animal. Venomous. Wild beast. I don't know if I hit on the derivative here. Thera is the derivative. Hunting, entrapping prey, game, a net, means of capture. It's feminine. And in this case, it's feminine because that's who was their prey. And who they captured under their bondage of the religious man-made law and lie system. So they capture her, and there's a whole study in there. She gets trapped in the fowler snare, but in the end she escapes it, we're told. The snare they lay for me to fall into, they end up falling into it. So man falls into his own snare that he laid for her, as does his precious harlot that he exalts in his heart. She says, I will never be widowless. I will never be childless. No one sees me. Ooh, he don't even see her half the time, I don't think. But he's fell into his own snare. Man is God. I mean, she fed him the spice because that's what he went for. That's what he wanted. He didn't want pureness. He didn't want righteousness. He wanted to debase the feminine. And she was willing to entice him with that spiced wine. That's what we get. Okay, so that word was derived from hunting. A hunting of wild beasts, a trap. So the snare they lay for us, they have fallen into it. And while we escape, they do not. Those who refuse the truth, who can't reason a simple, plain truth. There's male and female on this world. There isn't male, male, male. He don't travail to bring forth life. He don't shape the clay. Her womb does it, and that comes from our Holy Mother, the image that we are made in. She's also known as wisdom in the Ancient of Days. So having mark of the beast and those worshipping, 4352, I think I looked this one up. We'll go in and look it up anyway. To do reverence to, I go down on my knees to, I do obeisance to, I worship. Who do you worship? This mark, this theology, this belief, this written, engraved word on your soul and heart and mind. Mark of the beast, a brute system, who wrote laws against his very own spirit, telling her she'll do what he tells her to do. So properly to kiss the ground when prostrating before a superior, that would be a man, woman, in case you didn't know that. That's a man. Yeah, Jesus, who washes you in blood. You're not washed in blood. Pay attention to the what gets tossed on the earth. Yeah. One is, what is it? It's an unmixed. No, it's mixed to the full. I take it to mean it's full out wine. Blood is your allegory. Anyway, I might get to it here. I can't remember if I brought it up in one of these words. Worship, meaning to kiss like a dog licking his master's hand. To fawn or crouch to, literally or figuratively. But you don't do that, do you? You don't adore your bridegroom, your husband, your lord, your master, who's your head, do you, girls? That's not a harlot spirit. When God says, you bow to no idol, neither male nor female. Deuteronomy 4. That don't make sense? Why the harlot spirit? The spirit in the land is referred to as a harlot, and God turned her back on us when we did that? But that don't make sense. No. The God that turned his back on us was Father and Son. You won't hear about me. Well, that's all we hear about. What's image here? This one does not puzzle me for the fact that it is feminine. Not in the least. It simply means, I think, that the feminine are bowing, the women are bowing to this image and likeness and bust, this male image. I don't think because it's feminine that you're bowing to a female. We know that they don't bow to a female. We know that they bow to a man. In all the major religions, it comes up as male. We come up with the harlot in the land. And it's as though he despises the one that he makes his covenant with. He still makes it with her, him. Yeah, the two becomes together because she's teaching just what he wants her to teach. That's the agreement with this harlot. And so God says to this man who makes this covenant, who, though he despises the harlot, and you can clearly see most men despise women, period, though they pretend they don't, right? They're good at this illusion, and it is an illusion, and women go along with this illusion. They really do. I don't know why they can't see it. But it says in Ezekiel, 16, 17, maybe it's 19, that he despises this one that he's in oath with. And then he breaks this covenant, right? Which we're finding here in Revelation 16, 17, the actual breaking of this covenant. And we'll find this phrase in a minute, that they begin to gnaw their teeth, their tongue, rather, for pain, for the darkness that has totally come upon them, right? Because they've cast off the harlot, and what light they had, which was a false light. The Shulamite says, "Look not upon me because I am black. My mother's sons were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept." The host belonged to her. And so we see the false light shining. So here we see when he kicks the harlot, who's actually willing to bow to him as God, he kicks her off. And I don't believe he kicks her off because he thinks it's the right thing to do. I believe he kicks her off because he intends to stand alone. That's what I think is his intention. Now, I may be wrong. I haven't gone into great study on that. So we have 1504 assumes a prototype of which it not merely resembles, but from which it is drawn. Then is more than a shadow. Rather, it is a replication. So we see the Son being the image, the express image of the Father. So this would be the literal image. And it's a feminine because it is the women guilty as the harlot and the spirit in the land willing to go along with this religious lie. So it is only the righteous daughters and sons that escapes this snare that was laid in the beginning by the false king, Babylon, and by his exalted false queen, the harlot. Now that's what we see. The escape is to leave this religious lie in theology. That's what's going to save us all. So we have the image there. So let's go out. And, wow, it's going to be longer than I anticipated. I was going to read through Revelation 16. I was just going to read it. So I think it's a good idea if you go in and read it. But watch, we're seeing the wine. And the second angel poured out, I think these are the 7 archangels, the thunders that utters the truth in the book that has the right to these vials. I don't think no man does. And the second angel poured out her vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man or woman. And every living soul died in the sea, And the third angel poured out her vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters. It's interesting we're bringing in water. The water belongs to the spirit or wife, which don't mean what they say it means. Wife is not what they're saying. The wife is the spirit identified as having the water and the word. She's the one that has it. Not he, she does. And we find that in Song of Songs 4:12-15. We also find it in Proverbs 5. And I know there's other places that I hit, but I tend to just stick to 2. Next time I hit any that does reference, maybe I'll write them down to give you some new references. And I heard the angel of the waters say, Thou art righteous, Lord. See, this is the kicker, you know. This makes you righteous to deal with this. And I heard the angel of the waters, of the word, say, Thou art righteous, O Lord, which art, and was, and shall be, because thou hast judged thus. You have judged it rightly. You haven't went along with the idol. You haven't followed behind this religious lie taught to you by men off the pulpit, he. But you have judged right. Because thou hast judged thus, you have judged rightly. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. They are worthy. You are not washed in blood stained. You are washed in water. And that water comes from the spirit of the original covenant that the first Adam rejected, and he used violence and blood to bring on his lie in the land, in his idol. And we're shown it multiple times in the scriptures. And I heard another out of the altar say, Even so, Lord God, almighty, true, and righteous are thy judgments. And the fourth angel poured out her vial upon the sun, and the power was given unto it to scorch men with fire. Men and women with fire. You love this doctrine so much. This false light so much. Then hey, you can have all you want. It's going to scorch you. And so men and women were scorched with great heat and blasphemed, still continued to blaspheme the name of God, still not waking up. How much does it take before you finally wake up? Hey, maybe we're not worshiping God. Maybe waiting for the rapture isn't right. With our head tilted to look at the hosts of the heaven. Oh, he's coming to rescue us. How many of these judgments is it going to take before you stop blaspheming the true living God and stop saying he? And we see them using the he pronoun in Jeremiah 23. Can't remember the verse. So and the fourth angel poured out her vial upon the sun, and power was given unto it to scorch the men with fire and women. And they were scorched with great heat and blasphemed the name of God, which hath power over these plagues. These are all called plagues. We see the serpents, these poisonous serpents, identified as the women that were sent in by Balaam and Balak, because that they wanted to take out the right hand of God, which was the righteous daughters inside the nation of Israel. And they really needed to dethrone them from their rightful throne of power in order to take the law upon themselves and continue to poison everything. So here we see the plague. And we saw that plague in Psalm 106, I believe, and the plague break in upon them. And that plague was idol worship of a male, as Lord and God, which takes you back to your solar calf deity. That's right, which became known as Baal standing, which is another word for your husband, Lord, and master, your bridegroom. Straight out of Egypt. That's where it came from. So, and the fifth angel poured out her vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. There's a lot in these. There really is. And they blasphemed the name of God, the God of heaven, because of their pains and their sores, and they repented not of their deeds. Nope, that's the pride of Satan. He can't repent. Doesn't have it in him. And the sixth angel poured out her vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the east might be prepared. Men love the word kings. They stuck it everywhere they could think to stick it. Kings. I'm just going to call them men. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon. So I think these unclean spirits are akin to Satan when Satan falls like lightning and he gets cast down into the dust of the earth. That's right. To crawl on his belly. Because there's no place found for his sword, his word anymore. And that no place, you go look it up, you'll find a scabbard in amongst the words that they'll use there. No place. So we see this is actually Satan being cast, for they are the spirit of devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. All right. So the 7th bowl of wrath is there. I'm not going to read it. I want to bump ahead to Revelation 17, which takes up the woman on the beast, okay? Which I believe we just saw with all these bowl judgments. Her judgment and the beast system's judgment. Her exalted, and we find that mark is actually this lying doctrine. The only truth found in here is the little book that is sealed up, and it will be found by 7 daughters, which is what we find in the Old Testament. Now that's what we found. So the woman owned the beast, and there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show you the judgment of the great horror that sitteth upon many waters. So we know the waters, well, the angel actually explains it right out what it is. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So you get wine on the table. We find that wine on the table represent as the blood of your idol, a man who washes you clean. That's your idol standing in Daniel 2. And we know that this wine, admixture of lies, which is akin to a double-edged sword, is found in the hand of the harlot. And I believe it's Proverbs 5. I'm not 100% sure. We did a video on it. I have a poor memory. But it's also the wine on the table. And the only thing that can part that is the true word of God, which is sharper than the double-edged sword. And that's allegorical to parting the Red Sea and the presence of God, who is the true Spirit of God, birthing her true children out through that. That's what that is in the Exodus. So the kings of the earth have committed fornication, idolatry with her. And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her sexual immorality. And what do they say? Who spewed, after they got drunk on the wine, they spew yucky stuff all over their table. And what do they say in Isaiah 28? With Sheol, with the womb of Sheol, are we at agreement? When the overflowing scourge comes in, it will not touch us. Oh yeah, well, yeah. You're not innocent. How do you think it's sexual immorality? It's sexual immorality because it took in the man who wanted to debase Zion. That's right. You wanted to defile her, you wanted to debase her, and you wanted to take over her law. And you found a harlot spirit that was willing to go along with it all, and you made an oath with her. With the womb of Sheol are we at agreement. Bowing to an idol is not the way of God. You think you're going to be allowed into the heavens with this religious lie on your tongue, in your heart, that you're marked with, saying, oh no, not a woman, not a woman, not a woman. Listen to them. Women hate women. Men hate women. Listen to them. You think you're getting into heaven with that in your heart, because that's what's in your heart. God said, I never preached a man over a woman. I never told you that. I told you the law was fair. Fair to all. Equal to all. All. Not just a few. Not just this gender or that gender. Not just this race or that race. All. But you couldn't carry it out, could you? No. You had to play God. And when does it come? According, when you read this, it's like they continue after every disaster hits, they look up to heaven and they bow down to an idol, and when they do that, they are blaspheming God. You blaspheme the Holy One because you refuse to use wisdom to reason with. I don't think there's anything here. But these vials in Revelation, these final vial judgments, which I think takes in the last 3.5 years, if you want to break it down, is these vial judgments, these bowl judgments. Taking in the destruction of the harlot and this beast system built up by man and womankind willing to bow to their male idol and spice the wine with pretty little sexual promises. Yes, we believe in an idol of a man as God. He's my bridegroom, he's my husband, Lord and Master. Nope. Study your Old Testament. I just can't be bothered to do that though. So there we go. That's the whole video. Okay. Alright. Sorry for my mess. Sorry for the lighting. So I hope you get something out of that. I think, if you want to take something away, I would encourage you to really, just study the words for yourself and let the Holy Spirit, let the Spirit of wisdom allow your mind to be transformed. Allow it. But if you never allow it, then it's never going to happen. Ever. And these judgments will be for you. We were not told to bow to a man. We were not told to bow to an idol. We weren't. We were explicitly told not to. So, is the devil clever? Is Satan the accuser under the law? Adam, the accuser. Clever? Oh, yep, he sure is. He sure is. Thank God that she sends wisdom to us. So anyway, there's the video. Thanks for watching. I pray the Lord blesses you with an abundance of truth. I hope you have a blessed day. It's a great day here. And thanks for watching my video.